Yo, did she really say that?
No, I think she did.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another Queen's Review. I know I'm late. This is season 1, episode 3 from last week, entitled Who You Calling a Bitch? Now, the episode opens up with Naomi reading an article of a bad review the group received from their San Diego performance. So then it went from woman to woman who was reading and, giving their own opinions about this review. Once they got all of their personal feelings out of the way, they did agree that the review was right. They were horrible, and they needed to work on new music, and they needed like a new style because the things that they were rapping about did not and does not apply to them at this moment in their lives. So they go to the studio. Naomi and Eric, they were feeling the beats and everything like that, but nobody else was. So this disagreement led to Brianna and Naomi in a rap battle, which was epic. It was crazy. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, is there anything Brandy can't do? Now, for those of us who are true Brandy fans, we know of B Rocka, which is her persona when she raps. And she has been on countless of albums as a rapper, more so Timbaland. I know she really worked with Timbaland a lot when she was, B Rocka or whatever. But Brandy was just dope. She was good. Now I ain't gonna lie, I do think Naomi won, but I must say that last round with Brianna, Eve demonstrated why she will always be a pit bull in a skirt, because listening to that last round, I'm like, yeah, this is Eve. This is not Brianna. This is not the character. This is Eve going ham, and she did. It was a moment. It was a moment that I really enjoyed, and I'm glad to see that so many people was like so supportive of that moment, being that Brandy is not generally we don't see her as a rapper, but people were open and supportive of this. So I loved it. So, after that, Jeff memory returns, and he is very apologetic of his affair. And so I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so Bree goes to a divorce attorney, and the divorce lawyer basically told her, she advised her to make sure that there was no way she could reconcile her marriage because divorce is war. And, Bree was like, no, Jeff is a good father and things of that nature. And the divorce lawyer was basically like, look, I see this 1,000 times. Men prepare for divorce in a way sometimes that women don't. Women are kind of caught off guard. However, you just make sure that this is what you want to do. So, and I respected that. I really did. I respected that. I know with me, I don't know if I could come back from an affair. And not only that, it's just, you had this moment in our bed, in the house, the home that I have created, that we have created together for our 5 children. 5. I don't know how you come back from that. I really don't. So Bree and Jeff get a phone call from their daughter's school because Lil Bit decided to wear the necklace that says nasty bitch that belongs to her mother. So the principal was not happy, but Jeff read that principal for pure filth. I loved it. I ain't gonna lie, Jeff gained some brownie points with me in that moment, because not only did he, come there in support of his daughter, but he also uplifted Bree in that same moment. And I was like, all right, Jeff. Okay, all right. I could see how Bree kind of fell for you just a tad bit. But so he takes Bree to this to taste this bourbon that he had cast on their wedding day, and he said that he was going to give it to her on their 20th anniversary, but he definitely understands that life is short, and so there is no need to wait. And so they were getting pure litty lit, and she was like, "Wait a minute, is it okay for you to drink?" And he was like, "Yeah." I don't know. I was like, nah, brother, I don't think it's okay for you to drink, especially not bourbon. But anyway, they was having a good time, enjoying each other's company. And then Alexis, who was the mistress, calls, which definitely destroyed the entire mood. So when they get back home, Bree is like, she wanted to know everything. Was she the only one? How do you feel about her? And at first, I think he said, like, does it matter? I said, wait a minute. It does matter. It does matter. Is she the only one? How long has it been going on now? Now that your memory back, brother, we finna have a whole conversation. What's going on? Let me know. So we find out that Jeff and Alexis has been going on for 3 to 4 months. And he says that it didn't mean anything. Like it doesn't. And I'm going to say this. When people cheat, and I can see if it was a one-time thing, but when you continue a relationship with someone for 3 to 4 months, it means something. She's doing something that you enjoy. There is something about this situation that is bringing you some type of pleasure. And it has to be more than sexual to me. What is it about this little girl? Because we find out, I ain't gonna get there yet, but what is it about this student that you are craving? What is it about this student that you enjoy? Does she make you feel young? They didn't really go into detail with that. He just basically stated that it didn't mean anything. And so, like I said, I'll never understand that answer when people give. But anyway, Jeff asked Brianna, could she, were they done or could she forgive him? And at that point, she could not give him an answer. She was basically like, I don't know. Which I could, and that's another thing too. When you cheat on somebody and they have to process this is your wife, and you have to process everything that this person just told you, I think it's selfish as hell to expect that person to be able to give you an answer right then and there. So it's like, so what you gonna do? You gonna forgive me or what? No, that is unfair. 3 to 4 months, you have been building something or having sex with this person, yet you expect me to just, give you this answer off the cuff. There's just no way to do that. But sound like a typical man to me, but we ain't gonna go there. So anyway, let's go to Jill. So Jill is interviewed by Out Magazine, and I could tell that Alicia, who was interviewing her, was feeling Jill maybe more than she should have been, just their dialogue or whatnot. And then off the record, she invited Jill out to this lesbian club with her and her friends. So Jill goes. Jill looks like she was really enjoying herself and, all that like that. And she was just in her element, probably for the first time ever, having or enjoying the company of other women who shared her taste or shared her sexual culture, sexual identity, or what have you. So we see Jill in bed. She's writing some lyrics. Tina calls. She ignores. Alicia texts her about dinner with the girls, and Jill gets her happy ass up real quick, and she goes to dinner. So when she gets there, the only person who's there is Alicia. Alicia claims, which I think Alicia was lying, but Alicia claims that the other girls canceled and it was just her. So as she's talking to Jill or whatnot, she places her hand on Jill's lower southern region. And I'm like, wait. And so Jill didn't move her hand. Jill, I'm going to just say, in my opinion, if we would have had a couple more minutes, Jill would have had a full-blown orgasm right there in that damn restaurant. So Jill did act like she had to use the restroom, and she ended up leaving the club. I said, what, Alicia? You are so forward. That was a lot. That was a lot. But like I said, Jill wasn't denying access. We'll get back to that later. So, that was something. That was that was a moment, because I sat there in my mind. I was like, if I went to a restaurant and I'm with this dude and he's filling me up like this, and I'm with somebody, what would I have done? I would hope I would have done the right thing, but I don't know. But that was a moment. So we get to Naomi, and her daughter comes out to LA for the first time ever because she has an audition at this prestigious music school or academy. So as she's there, she meets these 2 miniature assholes because Naomi tells her, you should go and mingle and get to know the other students. And so as JoJo is mingling, Naomi, this woman comes up to her and asks her to fix her a gin drink. And before this white lady could finish her sentence, Naomi was like, do you want to die? Because this is my thing. Naomi doesn't even look like the damn help. She is not dressed like the damn help. How dare you? But this is what white people do. I can't tell y'all. I have been to certain places. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you worked here. I'm like, do I have on a damn uniform of the employees that work here? That has happened to me like 2 or 3 times in my life. And I'm thinking to myself, Grace, Grace save you today, baby. Great. I just say grace to people. I actually have a band that I wear on my wrist that says grace, because sometimes you have to extend it to ignorant ass people and to keep me from out of jail. But yeah, I thought that was like, she doesn't even look like anybody who would be fixing someone a drink. But anyway, so Naomi, she sees JoJo rehearsing, and in that moment, JoJo is basically nervous. It's her first time being nervous. She has never felt this way, but she was telling Naomi, but again, you've never been here. So she was dealing with her own stuff, and I think that her mom being there wasn't helping, because at the end of the day, your mom is still explicit lyrics. So that could be nerve-wracking in itself. And so JoJo was like, she was basically going off on her, and, Naomi was like, why do you always have to throw shots? And, she asked Naomi something. She was like, didn't you go? But Naomi was trying to explain to her, like, not to quit, to continue to move forward. And she was like, well, didn't you just, give up on a solo thing? And we all know the reason why Naomi gave up on the solo contract, because if she signed it, then she could not ever be a part of Queens again, with Nasty Bees again. She could never perform with them, record with them, and that wasn't something that she was willing to give up. She tells JoJo, like, I don't have to explain my actions to you. And so JoJo was like, you never explained anything to me. Like, I don't even know who my dad is. And that's something that JoJo continues to throw up in Naomi's face. So Naomi tells her, well, I don't want to mess you up more than I already have. So she leaves. Eventually, she comes back with some J's and some tacos for JoJo. And they had a really, really cute moment. She explained to her about Black Girl Magic and what it means. And, just for her to hold her head up high and to know that she's just as great as anybody else that's there. So JoJo killed her performance. It was amazing. And then she ended it with Nasty Girl. I don't know whose idea it was to include those classic hip hop songs, but pure genius. And that girl, I can't think of her real name right now, but she executed that so beautifully, and she played the hell out of them keys. It was amazing to watch. So Naomi was so proud. She was like, y'all not gonna clap for my baby? I said, that's a pure Black mama right there. That is a pure Black mama. That was a pure beautiful moment. So JoJo ended up getting into the school, but she still wants to know who her dad is. And she asked Naomi, if you have like anything, like any tips you can give me, I want to find him for myself. And I'm like, Naomi, tell that baby who her daddy is. Why are we going through this? You know what I'm saying? I felt for her in that moment, but that was the end of them. So Valeria, we all know Valeria can't write and she can't rap, but she wants to prove Naomi wrong. So she goes and seeks help from Eric. And to be honest, Valeria's storyline is one that I'm not really interested in. But we do find out that she was pregnant at one point. I'm assuming it was Eric's, and she decided to terminate the pregnancy. Eric tells her that, for what it's worth, he believes she would have been a good mother. And she makes it very clear that she does not regret anything that she's done. She does not regret her decision, and she would basically do it again. And so they show this montage of Valeria in the studio. We can't hear her, but it looked like she bringing some heat. And so when all the girls get together back into the studio, they vibing, they having a good time. And then, Naomi was like, Queens. They changed the name of the group from Nasty Bees to Queens, which I'm so appreciative of, because it was about time to retire that name. And so I like that scene. They was cute. They was all vibing, so on and so forth. And so once that happened, we see that Eric is home and he's listening to some old tracks from the girls. And he comes up on a track from Naomi. And she's talking about how, she's living in the house with a man who's not her spouse. And there's life growing inside of her without no doubt. And so Eric kept replaying it like, what the hell did she say? Not knowing that Valeria had walked in and she overheard it. And she was like, JoJo is yours? And we see that Jill, Alicia shows up to Jill's hotel room and they get it in. So I was not prepared for the ending. Okay. Basically, Brianna comes to a place of realization that she loves her husband and she wants to make it work. So she's talking to Jeff, and I'm looking. I was like, wait a minute. I see Jeff. His eyes are open. Jeff isn't moving. Jeff is still. Jeff isn't blinking. I said, I know the hell not. I know this man is not dead. I know he is not dead. I know that. Jeff was dead. And, Bree is continuing to talk to him. She has no idea because her back was to him. But Jeff wasn't responding. And she was like, Jeff, do you hear me? Like, do you hear what I'm saying to you? And I'm like, no, baby. Jeff does not hear anything that you're saying to him. And I felt so bad in that moment. And once she realized that Jeff had passed, she laid in, she closed his eyes and she laid in the bed. And you know what, I was a little taken aback because I'm like, you know what? I didn't like Jeff, but in this episode, I was beginning to like him. Like, yes, I get, okay, yeah, cool. Maybe y'all can work it out. I didn't like the brother, but damn it, I didn't want him to die. I got emotional. I didn't cry or nothing, but I didn't know that was going to happen. And that really was like, whoa, you killed him off in the third episode. What's really going on? This is such a great show. I really love Queens. I like where it's going. I love that I don't feel like one character is getting more camera time than the others. They do a great job at balancing out the screen time for these different people. And I absolutely love it and adore it. So that is episode 3. And so now we're about to get into episode 4, which is entitled Ain't No Sunshine. Of Queens, entitled Ain't No Sunshine. Where it left off in episode 3. Bree was still lying next to Jeff. She Googled how I said this, poor baby. She Googled how to dispose of a body, and then she kind of shook her head like, no, that's not it. So it was clear as day that she had no idea what to do in this moment. And I love that they showed that, because when something like that happens, you do not always know what to do, especially if this is your first time being in that type of situation. So she called the coroner's office and they came to retrieve Jeff's body. And, she was trying to have them be as quiet as possible because the children were asleep. And so once they came and they was, getting his body together, she kissed him on the cheek before they zipped the bag all the way up. And she pondered if she should awake her children and let them know, but decided to give them one more night of just, peace and normalcy. So as she closed the door, once she saw that they placed his body in the back of the truck, she closed the door and just to have a moment, just to take a deep breath. And then she hears her son asking if everything is okay. And so she puts him back to bed and he asked, was, their dad awake? And was he still taking them to the Lakers game? And, I in that moment, because a lot of times when I watch shows, I kind of put myself in that position to say like, dang, I wonder how I would respond if this happened to me. And honestly, I drew a blank because I don't know what I would do, excuse me, in that situation where I have to deliver such shattering news to my 5 children that their father is gone. I don't know how I would do that. But I do believe they wrote Brianna very realistically, and I would get into that in a minute, because a lot of people felt like her portrayal, Eve's portrayal of Brianna was not real, and I completely disagree with that. So, she called Jeff's mom to let her know, about her son's passing, and so she went on his IG page, and it was full of pictures of her and their children. It was even a picture of her with Naomi from one of their like recent performances, which I thought was cute. And so we could kind of see that Jeff was a supportive husband, but there was just, now that he's gone, we would never know the reason he decided to have an affair unless Alexis can shine some revelation, upon us. But other than that, we don't know. And so once she ends the call with the mom, Jeff's phone rings and it's Alexis calling at an hour that her ass shouldn't be calling. I'm like, okay, baby girl just can't take the ignoring as a clue, but okay. But I get it. I do get it. So Bree goes to wash some clothes, and then she sits at the table and pours a drink and literally sits there until the sun rises. So the kids are awake. She makes breakfast for them. They all sit at the table, and her oldest son asks if she's okay. And she tells them, it's something I have to tell you guys. So we do not hear her tell the children about Jill's passing, but we know that's what she told them. So we get to Naomi, Eric, and JoJo. And so Eric is knocking on Naomi's door, and basically she barely opened the damn door. He was like, basically, is he JoJo's dad? And so she lets him know to lower his voice because he doesn't know, but JoJo is, right there. And he lets her know, like, nah, you got to tell me something. I heard your old record. And basically, he repeated what she said. And he was like, I need to know. And so you hear JoJo asking, what was going on. And, Naomi was like, nothing, baby. I just don't like all the secrecies with that, but I get it. And so she gets a phone call from Bree, and, she lets Eric know what's going on, and she let Bree know that she will be right over there. And so Eric and JoJo meet for the first time. He's kind of looking like, wow, this is my daughter, and she has no clue who the hell he is. And so Jill is sleeping ever so lovely after her rendezvous. And so she gets a text from Tina letting her know that she is in LA and she's on her way to see her. Meanwhile, Alicia is in Jill's bed, and she thinks it's funny how Jill is reacting. And the fact that Jill believes that her first lesbian relationship will be her last, even though Jill claims she loves Tina. Alicia basically tells her that, look, you are finally out and, open with your sexuality. Explore that. Basically, she was like, don't be tied down to someone when you now have your freedom to explore the part of you that's been hidden, and basically not explored for so long. So give yourself the grace to do that. So we get to Bree and the priest, and he's basically, asking her, is there anything she want to say about her husband? And you could tell she's out of it. She doesn't even she's just sitting there. And so Eric calls her name, and she kind of pops up, and she was like, husband, father, adulterer. And Valeria was like, you might want to leave that part out. I was like, okay, I agree with Valeria, even though that is the truth. I agree with her. So the priest was like, don't worry about it. I will come up with something beautiful to say, but you do need to be prepared, for your remarks. And so, yeah, let's deal with Bree and this grief, because I felt like people gave Eve such a hard time in this moment, and which I thought was unfair. I'm like, listen, when you're dealing, I am someone who has lost several people close to me. You do not know how you are going to respond when you get the news. You don't know. You just don't know. Some people break down and cry. Some people are, so focused on the arrangements of the funeral, they don't have time to even consider how they feel in the moment. They will deal with their stuff later, or whatever the case may be. I felt like the way that Brianna responded was very normal. And then you think about all the emotions that she has. She's dealing with the fact that my husband died. We were not in a great place. I was mad with him. I was angry. He left me to raise these kids by myself. I had to be strong for my children. I can't let them see me break down. I got to hold it together. There's a lot going on. And so I just felt like hearing people say it was unrealistic. And there's one unrealistic part for me, but I'll get into that later. I felt the way that she handled this was a true depiction of someone who is in a state of shock and still have to function and deal and be put in a position where they really can't deal with their emotional state at the time. So I thought it was realistic. I didn't see a problem with it. So Jill, Naomi, and Tina arrives, and Jill leads them into a word of prayer. And so I believe it was Naomi who asked her how the children were. And she was just like, I don't want to talk about it. I need to talk about something else. What's going on with y'all? And they all was like, nothing going on, y'all. We good. Because they don't want to reveal their messy business to her, because all of them are in mess right now. Every last person on this show got some drama going on, which I'm here for, because it's drama that makes sense. So I'm like, I'm all here for it, so on and so forth. But she briefly talks to Tina and Jill, because before she gets to them, Tina was like, does she seem off? And Jill was like, off? Like, she just lost her husband. And Tina, she was like, well, I know, but it doesn't seem like she's shed a tear. And so that's when Brianna walks over and thanks them for coming. And, Jill lets her know that she has the freedom to feel whatever she wants. And then her son comes over to let her know that Olivia won't stop crying. And so she looks to Jill and Tina and was like, no, I don't. She doesn't have the freedom, as I just talked about earlier. She doesn't have the freedom to feel and to have an outlet to deal with those emotions, because she has to be mommy to 5 kids who have lost their dad. So I understood that completely. And so Eric, JoJo, Valeria, and Naomi. So JoJo, well, before we get to JoJo coming, Naomi is sitting by the bathroom. And so Eric was like, basically Naomi tells him, like, don't be selfish. Our friend is grieving. And he basically was like, you have some nerve to talk about selfish after like what you done to me. And so we see JoJo comes and they quickly, stop talking. And so JoJo tells him, I have to use the restroom. All the restrooms are full, but I'd rather pee in a bush than to be up here in the middle of whatever they got going on. So Valeria comes out of the restroom and everybody was like, hey, very uncomfortable moment. And so JoJo rushes into the restroom and Naomi walks away. And Valeria tells Eric that, she is owed an explanation. Like, he got some explaining to do. Y'all, I was so happy. I was so happy that Valeria finally found out that she has always been number 2. Always. Always. And so later in the episode, Naomi and Eric have a conversation about JoJo and him not knowing that he was her father. And it's been 20 years, 20 years of things he's missed out on. I did understand where he was coming from, but I didn't feel bad for him. And so when Naomi began to explain, the humanity of Naomi, because Naomi is more so like that character who gonna say what it is. I don't give a damn how you feel. This is just what it is. But I think also to see that sensitive side of her when she told Eric, that you and Valeria took the very thing that meant the most to me, which was my music. And with Eric, it's like I want to like Eric, but I just feel like, we see what he's renting of a mansion, and these women, they don't have it like that. I don't think they're not dirt poor or broke, but they don't have it like he has it, other than Valeria. It seems like financially she may be the most financially stable member of the group. But when you're dealing with music and in the music industry, to take someone's publishing is like the worst that you can do, because Naomi doesn't own anything. She wrote everything and has no ownership to anything. The only way that, to me, Eric can redeem himself and truly make this thing right is to give Naomi her publishing back. And, to see her cry and break down. And I think the thing with Eric is that, to me, he hasn't given her a sincere apology. And the fact that he stole from her like it was easy. He stole from her without thinking how this would affect her. She's supposed to be a woman that you love, that you would always choose. The only reason why y'all relationship wasn't out is because Naomi wanted it to be a secret. But you were able to construct this plan with Valeria to steal from these women who honestly put you on the map. So I don't feel like any compassion for him whatsoever. I didn't know, like, there are many ways that scene could be taken. It could be taken where people have compassion for Eric. It could be taken where people have compassion for Naomi for basically being the engine behind this group and having nothing to show for it. No ownership of anything. So I don't really care for Eric. I feel like he's trying. I really do. But, that's just how I feel right now with that whole thing. So Alexis, the mistress, continues to call, and Naomi isn't here for it. Like, she was like, hey, she can get these hands, whatever. So Valeria is all in her feelings after finding out she was girlfriend number 2. And she feels that Alexis has the right to know, and the other woman is still a human being with feelings. I was like, shut the hell up, Valeria. How the hell you turn this situation about you? Because in actuality, that's exactly what she did. She made the situation about her after finding out that she has always been the other woman. That at if any given moment, Naomi told Eric, I want us to be together, I want the whole world to know, then that's where he would have been. So I know her heart. She in her feelings right now. And this is where, even when I attempt to like Valeria, she always has to do something to mess the damn thing up. Truly overstepping her boundaries, and she goes to Alexis' house to let her know that Jeff has passed. She breaks down. Valeria consoles her. She asked Valeria, when is the funeral? I said, see what you done started? No one told you to go over there. This was something that had absolutely nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with how Brianna wants to handle this situation. And nobody told you to include your 2 cents or your hurt feelings in this situation. But that's what she did. So Jill and Bree. So Jill reveals to Bree that she cheated on Tina. And she was like, please don't tell me I'm not a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. So Bree folded her hands like, hell, I wasn't going to tell you that no way. So Jill was like, you can't tell me that I'm not a horrible person. And she was like, why is everybody so damn selfish? All this cheating and deceit and, what I'm saying, like, whatever happened to commitment and honesty? I said, girl, Bree, I'm with you, sis. I'm with you all the way, because everybody up in here besides you, commitment and honesty is not something that, is, truly upheld. But I get it. And she basically tells Jill, like, you need to be honest. Tell her what's going on, but you need to tell her the truth. Because Jill was so gung-ho in defending Jeff, and Bree couldn't understand it until Jill revealed her truth. So JoJo and Eric, they get locked in the basement. I don't know how I feel about him giving this underage girl a beer from 2017, but anyway, he basically wanted to know, even though she's 20, even though she's made, I guess, like, the right decisions throughout her life, do she still have a desire to know who her father is? And so JoJo was basically telling him that I don't know what type of relationship we would have, but I do still want to know, and she has these feelings about her mom. She said, which I try not to dwell on, because I don't want to think about what that says about her, about not knowing who my dad is. And he did attempt to redeem himself by telling her that, your mom is proud of you, cut her some slack, back in the days was wild. And JoJo asked him, does he know anything? Like, you've been around, you must have seen someone, someone she was hanging out with. And he was basically telling her that he doesn't, he wants to be alive. So he kept himself out of Naomi's, personal business. And so that was a cute scene. And when Naomi came in, they hid the beer from her. And, she asked JoJo to go upstairs, and she was just making sure that Eric did not tell her the truth, or whatever the case may be, because she felt like, after everything you've done to me, you at least owe me, when I'm ready to tell her, it's my responsibility to come up with that, not you. I don't really care how you feel about wanting to know and all of this stuff. I'll do it in my time. So that was that with them. And so the funeral, Jesus Christ. Valeria and Naomi was cursing all up in this church. I said, Lord have mercy, Jesus. But they getting all, prepared and things of that nature. And the door opens. It's Alexis. So they trying to figure out how the hell and why is she there. And Valeria tells, Naomi, well, I kind of talked to her a little bit, sort of, kind of. And that's why she's here. So Brianna was about to tell them to shut the hell up. And she sees Alexis. And they was like, Bree, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? We got it. And Naomi was like, yeah, to beat her ass. And Jill was like, Naomi. I said, Lord, this cursing up in this church. But I'm here for it. Normally I wouldn't be, but I'm here for it. So Bree was like, no, I got it. I'm going to just let her know that she kindly that she needs to leave. So Brianna, I don't even know how they trusted that. So Brianna walks to her. She attacks Alexis. And the girls rush to get her off of her. So they're like in the pre-study or whatever. And they just start laughing about the situation, because it was funny. And Brianna tells them that she wants to talk to Alexis. And they're not here for it. But she was like, no, I do want to talk to her. So they give them that moment. They leave. Now, this is the part that I felt was unrealistic. when now you can't control when it does hit someone and they break down, but it was the fact that she broke down to the mistress. I was like, nah, come on. Come on now. That's the part I didn't feel that was believable. That was the part that just got me like, this is who she's crying with and to. I didn't like that part. I wasn't feeling that. I just felt like if she was going to have a breakdown, it should have been with someone who genuinely cares about her and that can give her the comfort that she needs in that moment. But, to each his own. So she was giving her, remarks in the church. Jill was singing. We finally heard Naturi do a solo because a lot of people forget that Naturi can sing, that she was in 3LW back in the day. And, Naomi was playing the guitar. I thought it was a very, very beautiful moment. And then we see that, Jill reveals to Tina that she cheated and they, go their separate ways. Tina was very understanding. I was like, yes, sis. That's some growth. That's something that, people aspire to get to, a point of maturity. And so we see the scene with JoJo, Naomi, and Eric, and they're all holding hands. And even though it wasn't verbalized, JoJo understood what was happening. And I actually did like that moment. I'm glad that it wasn't verbalized, but it was more so in action. I thought that was a very, very good way to display Naomi coming to a place of being honest with the both of them. I thought it was a very, very cute moment. So then we see, oh Lord, we see Bree at the casket and Alexis is next to her. She's crying. Bree allowed her to have that moment and she breaks down, and all of a sudden she throws up on the casket. I said, oh my God. So the kids was like, that's disgusting. Oh, that's disgusting. If you did not pay attention, go look at JoJo's face when Alexis throws up on this casket, because it's like JoJo has the revelation like, oh shit, this girl is pregnant. And that was my reaction too, like, oh my God. Even though we kind of could see it was going in that direction. And so Brianna was like, you're pregnant, aren't you? Then the classic Jay-Z, It's a Hard Knock Life, which was the perfect song to end that episode. It's a hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get kicked. I loved it. That was the perfect song to put in that moment. All I know is that ABC, baby, has spent some coins on this show because the music in itself, to get the rights to play certain songs, oh my God, they were in their bag with this series. So it was really good. I enjoyed this episode. This is becoming like one of my favorite shows out right now. So super good. I love the writing. I love the dynamics of everybody on the show. Even though Valeria, as she continues week by week to get lower and lower down that totem pole. She was already pretty low. She got lower this episode, even though she tried to redeem herself. It didn't work for me. But yeah, this is a great, great, great series. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time, y'all be safe out there. One.